The courtroom smelled like flowers that had never grown on Earth. Ana Reyes stood in a circle of white light while 12 alien judges looked down at her from their elevated seats. She had not been allowed to sit for 3 hours. Her legs hurt. Her heart hurt more. Dr. Ana Reyes of the United Earth Coalition, the lead judge, announced. His name was High Magistrate Vorn, and his silver skin reflected the courtroom lights like a mirror. You have been found guilty of violating the sacred non-interference accord. You made contact with a pre-space flight species. You gave a medicine. You saved lives that were meant to end. Anna wanted to laugh. Meant to end. As if children dying from fever was some kind of divine plan. The village was suffering, she said. Her voice was calm. She had accepted what was coming. 300 people, half of them children. I had the knowledge to help them. The plants on their world contained everything I needed to make a cure. Was I supposed to watch them die? Yes, Vorn said simply. That is exactly what you were supposed to do. The other judges nodded. They represented the 12 elder races of the galaxy. Species that had traveled between stars for thousands of years. Species that had decided, long ago, that primitive worlds should be left alone. No contact, no help, no interference. Anna had broken their most sacred law. The penalty for your crime is exile, Vorn continued. You will be transported to designation 7 Kappa, a habitable world with no intelligent life advanced enough to contact. You will remain there until death. No rescue, no communication, no return. Anna closed her eyes. She had known this was coming. Her lawyer had warned her. The tribunal showed no mercy for interference violations. The last human convicted had been left on an ice world. He lasted 8 days. You will be given basic supplies, Vorn said. A medical kit, water purification tablets, simple tools, enough to give you a chance at survival, though we expect that chance to be small. How generous, Anna said. That Vorn's silver face showed no emotion. You saved 300 primitive lives, Dr. Reyes. Now you will live a primitive life yourself. Perhaps you will understand why we have our laws. Guards took her arms. They led her from the courtroom through gleaming corridors filled with species from across the galaxy. Some watched her pass with curiosity. Most ignored her completely. She was nothing now, less than nothing. The transport ship was small and cold. Anna sat in a metal cell for 6 days while the vessel jumped through folded space toward her new prison. They fed her twice a day. No one spoke to her that on the 7th day, the ship entered orbit around a green and brown world wrapped in white clouds. Through a tiny window, Anna watched the planet grow larger. It looked peaceful from up here. Beautiful. Even the guards came for her one final time. They gave her a jumpsuit, a backpack filled with supplies, and a pair of boots. That was all. 22 years of education, 15 years of fieldwork, a lifetime of achievement. And now her entire existence fit in a bag she could carry. The transport will not land, one guard told her. You will jump from 30 meters. The ship descended through thick clouds and heavy rain. Lightning flashed outside the windows. Anna held onto a support rail and tried to control her breathing. She was 43 years old. 30 meters was a long way to fall. The bay doors opened over a forest clearing. Wind and rain blasted into the ship. Below, Anna could see trees with purple leaves and a muddy clearing that might be soft enough to survive a jump. Go, the guard said. Anna looked back one last time at the lights of the ship, at civilization, at everything she was leaving behind. I saved those children, she said. I would do it again. She jumped. The fall lasted forever and no time at all. She hit the ground hard, rolling through mud and wet grass, feeling something pop in her left shoulder. Pain exploded through her body. Rain pounded her face. Above her, the transport ship sealed its doors and rose back into the clouds. Anna lay in the mud for a long time. The rain soaked through her jumpsuit. Her shoulder screamed with every breath. The sky above was gray and endless and completely empty of stars. She was alone. More alone than any human had ever been. No rescue. No hope of ever seeing another human face. The old Ana Reyes would have given up right there, would have let the rain wash her into the mud and waited for death. But the old Ana Reyes had died in that courtroom. The woman lying in this alien mud was someone new. Someone who had already lost everything. Someone with nothing left to lose. She forced herself to sit up, then to stand. Her shoulder was dislocated, not broken. She could fix that. All right, she said to the empty forest. Let us see what you have. The trees did not answer. But somewhere in the darkness between them, something was watching. Ana did not know it yet, but her real story was just beginning. 42 days. That was how long Ana survived alone before the forest revealed its secret. She had built a shelter from fallen branches and wide purple leaves. She had found a stream with clean water. She had learned which plants were safe to eat through careful testing. A small bite, wait a day, check for sickness. 3 times she guessed wrong and spent long nights vomiting into the bushes. But she survived. The nights were the hardest. This world had 2 moons, and when both were below the horizon, the darkness was complete. Ana would sit by her small fire and listen to sounds she could not identify. Howls from the distant mountains, clicking noises from the treetops, the rustle of things moving through the undergrowth. She talked to herself to stay sane, recited old research papers from memory, sang songs from her childhood in Manila, told jokes to an audience of trees and shadows. And then, on day 42, she discovered she had a real audience. She saw the eyes first. Amber-colored, glowing faintly in the firelight, watching from the darkness between 2 trees. Ana froze with a roasted root vegetable halfway to her mouth. Her heart pounded. In 6 weeks, she had seen insects and birds and small scurrying things, but nothing that looked at her with obvious intelligence. The eyes blinked. Then they moved closer. Ana did not run. She did not reach for the sharp stick she kept beside her sleeping mat. She simply waited and watched as a small figure stepped into the circle of firelight. IT stood barely to her waist. Gray fur covered its body, thick and soft-looking. Its face was almost human in shape. 2 eyes, a small nose, a mouth, but the proportions were different. The eyes were too large. The ears were pointed and mobile, twitching at every sound. Its hands had 4 fingers each, with short claws at the tips. Ana and the creature stared at each other for a long moment. "Hello," Ana said softly. The creature tilted its head. It made a series of clicks and whistles that sounded almost like speech. Then it took a step back, preparing to flee. Ana looked at the root vegetable in her hand. Slowly, carefully, she held it out toward the creature. "Are you hungry?" she asked. The creature's large eyes fixed on the food. Its nose twitched. For several long seconds, it did not move. Then it darted forward, snatched the vegetable from Ana's hand, and ran back to the treeline. It stopped just at the edge of the light and turned to look at her. It took a bite of the root. Its eyes widened. "Good, right?" Ana said. She smiled. "Cooking makes a difference." The creature finished the vegetable in 3 more bites. It clicked something and disappeared into the darkness. Ana sat by her fire for a long time after that, thinking. She was a xenobiologist. She had spent her entire career studying alien life. And she had just made first contact with an intelligent species. The tribunal would be furious. Ana laughed at the thought. What were they going to do? Exile her twice. The creature came back the next night. This time, it was not alone. A larger one followed behind. An adult female. Ana guessed, based on her size and the protective way she positioned herself between the younger one and Ana. Ana did not approach them. She simply sat by her fire, cooking more root vegetables, and waited. The young one clicked and whistled at the adult. It pointed at Ana, then at the fire, then at the food. The adult watched Ana with suspicious eyes. Ana held out 2 vegetables. One for each of them. The adult hesitated. Then she walked forward and took the offered food. She sniffed it carefully. She took a small bite. Her large amber eyes blinked in surprise. Over the next week, more of them came. Ana counted 15 individuals, a small family group with elders and children. They watched her from the darkness each night, gradually coming closer. Ana began to learn their language. It was built from clicks and whistles and soft humming sounds. Human vocal cords could not produce all of it perfectly, but she could get close enough to be understood. She learned that they called themselves the Roo. She learned that the young one who first approached her was named something that translated roughly to bright water. She learned that they were nomads who followed the herds and the seasons, never staying in one place for long. And she learned that they had never imagined someone could make food grow from the ground out on the 20th night of contact. The adult female brought Anna a gift, a small pouch woven from plant fibers filled with seeds. Anna looked at the seeds for a long time. She thought about the tribunal, about the sacred accord, about the law she had already broken once before. Then she looked at Bright Water, who was watching her with those huge amber eyes full of curiosity and hope. Anna took the seeds. "Let me show you something," she said. She walked to a patch of clear ground near her shelter. She knelt down, and with the Roo watching in confused silence, she began to dig small holes in the soil. Tomorrow, she would teach them how to plant. 3 years changed everything. Anna's hair had turned completely gray now. Her earth-made jumpsuit had fallen apart long ago, replaced by Roo-crafted clothing made from woven plant fiber and soft animal hide. She walked barefoot most days because it was easier than making shoes that fit her strange human feet. But the biggest changes were not in Anna. They were in the world around her. The clearing where she had first landed was no longer empty. 30 structures stood there now, dome-shaped buildings made from hardened mud and wooden frames, designed in a style that was neither human nor traditionally Roo, but something new, something they had created together. The tribe had grown too. Word had spread through the forest. The Stone River people, as they now called themselves, had gone from 15 members to nearly 100. Other Roo came to see the strange tall creature who made plants grow from the dirt. Many of them stayed. Anna stood in the center of the village on a warm morning, teaching a group of young Roo how to identify which plants were ready for harvest. Her clicks and whistles were fluent now, though she still could not make some of the higher sounds their language required. "You see how the leaves have changed color?" she asked, pointing to a row of grain-like stalks. "That means the seeds inside are ready. If you pick them too early, they will not taste good. If you wait too long, the birds will eat them first." The young Roo listened with wide eyes. To them, this was magic. The idea that you could put a seed in the ground and know what would happen was revolutionary. Bright Water stood nearby, watching. He was fully grown now, a strong young adult with a family of his own. His children were in Anna's class today. "More visitors coming," he said, "from the mountainside. Many of them." Anna looked toward the eastern tree line. She could see movement there, a large group approaching through the forest. Too large to be friendly travelers. "How many?" she asked. 40, maybe 50. They carry spears." Anna felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. This was what she had feared. The Stone River people had changed the old ways. They had stopped following the herds. They had claimed land and refused to leave. To traditional Roo, that was wrong, and some tribes dealt with wrong things through violence. "Keep the children inside," Anna told Brightwater. "I will go meet them." "Alone? That is foolish. If they see a large group coming, they will think we want to fight. If they see one old woman with empty hands, they will be curious." Anna smiled slightly. Curious is safer than scared. She walked across the village, past the storage buildings filled with dried grain, past the new well they had dug last summer. She hoped the visitors would see what she saw. She feared they would not. The war party emerged from the tree line just as Anna reached the edge of the village. They were larger than the Stone River Roo. Mountain folk bred in harsher conditions. Their leader was a scarred female with one missing ear and eyes that had seen too much death. Anna stopped 10 paces away and raised her empty hands. "I am Anna," she said. "I welcome you to our home." The scarred female studied her with suspicion. "You are the strange one, the tall creature who fell from the sky." "I am. You have taught these Valley Roo to go against the old ways, to stay in one place like insects, to plant seeds instead of following the herds." "I have taught them one way to live," Anna said carefully. "It does not have to replace the old ways. It is simply another choice." The scarred female made a harsh clicking sound. "Choice. My people are starving. The herds have moved away. The plants we gathered have been eaten by pests. We have walked for 30 days looking for food." She raised her spear. "And now we find Valley Roo living fat and happy in houses that do not move." What would you have us do? Go back to starving. Anna looked at the war party. She saw the hunger in their faces, the desperation. These were not evil people. They were frightened people doing what frightened people do. I would have you stay, Anna said. The scarred female blinked. Stay. You came here to take our food. I am offering to share it instead. More than that, I am offering to teach you how to grow your own. Anna gestured toward the village. We have enough grain to feed 300 people through winter. We have seeds to plant in spring. We have knowledge that belongs to no one tribe. Why would you share with strangers who came to attack you? Anna thought for a long moment. She thought about Earth, about humanity, about how her own people had crawled out of caves and learned to farm and eventually build ships that reached the stars. Because I was not always a strange creature who fell from the sky, she said. I come from a world of people who look like me. We made many mistakes. We fought wars over land and food and things that did not matter. Millions died because we could not learn to share. She looked into the scarred female's eyes. I was sent here as punishment for helping people. So now helping is all I do. Stay, learn, eat. And if you decide our way is wrong, you're free to leave. The old warrior was silent for a long time. Behind her, the war party shifted nervously. Their spears were still raised. Finally, Grandmother Thorn lowered her weapon. I am called Grandmother Thorn, she said. Show me these seeds of yours. Anna smiled and led her toward the village. By the end of that year, the Stone River people numbered 800. 10 years after Anna fell from the sky, the growing place had become something that should not exist. It had a name now. The Rue called it Anishom, despite her protests. She had tried to suggest other names, names in their own language, names that honored their traditions. They refused. The city would carry her name, they said, because without her, there would be no city at all. And it was a city now, not a village, not a settlement. A city. 6,000 Rue lived within its boundaries, drawn from 47 tribes that had once wandered the forests as nomads. They had built permanent structures, not copies of human buildings, but something uniquely their own. Interconnected domes of hardened clay and woven branches spread across what had once been empty forest. The buildings connected to each other through covered walkways, designed around the Rue preference for communal living. There were specialized districts now, a market where craftspeople traded goods, a granary that held enough food to survive 2 bad harvests, a school where young Rue learned reading and writing using symbols Anna had helped develop based on their own artistic traditions. And there was a hospital. Anna walked through the market district on a cool morning, her joints aching with every step. She was 53 years old, and the hard years had aged her faster than they should have. Her eyesight was starting to fail. Her hands shook when she tried to do fine work. But she still walked through the city every morning because the Rue expected it. Good morning, first teacher, a fruit vendor called out as she passed. Good morning, first teacher, a group of children echoed, pausing their game to bow their heads in respect. Anna smiled and touched each of their hands in greeting. It was the Rue way. Physical contact meant trust. She found Bright Water in the Agricultural Council building, studying a map of the surrounding lands. He was middle-aged now, with gray streaks in his fur and the confident posture of a leader. His children had children of their own. The eastern irrigation channels need repair before the rains come, Brightwater said without looking up. And the mountain tribes are asking about trade routes again. Good morning to you too, Anna said. Brightwater made the clicking sound that was the Rue equivalent of a laugh. You taught me to be direct. Do not complain when I follow your lessons. Anna sat down across from him, grateful to rest her legs. The mountain tribes want permanent trade, not just seasonal exchanges. They want to build a road, a real one, with stone markers and cleared paths. Anna considered this. Roads meant connection. Connection meant growth. Growth meant more change. Grandmother Thorn had died 3 winters ago. Her granddaughter, a sharp young female named Quickmind, now led what remained of the Mountain Coalition. Quickmind had shown unusual interest in metalworking, experimenting with or from the mountain slopes. What do you think? Anna asked. Brightwater looked at her with his large amber eyes. I think the world is changing faster than my grandfather could have imagined. I think my grandchildren will live in a world I cannot predict. He paused. I think that is your fault. Is that a complaint? No. He touched her hand gently. It is thank you. My grandfather died of a fever that you could have cured. His grandfather starved during a bad winter that our granary would have prevented. Change is frightening, but staying the same was killing us. Anna felt tears prick at her failing eyes. She had spent so many years wondering if she was doing the right thing, wondering if she was just imposing her own ideas on people who had not asked for them. But then she looked at Anishom, at the children playing in the streets, at the elders sitting in comfortable homes instead of dying on force marches, at the hospital where sick Rue received care instead of being left behind. I broke every law my people held sacred, Anna said quietly. I was supposed to leave you alone, let you develop on your own without any outside influence. And if you had followed that law, you would still be nomads, struggling to survive, dying young. Brightwater nodded. Then I'm glad you are a criminal. Anna laughed, a real laugh, the first one in a long time. Outside, she could hear the sounds of the city, merchants calling out their goods, children asking questions, hammers striking metal in Quickmind's workshop. She had been sent here to die alone. Instead, she had built something that would outlive her by centuries. The tribunal had wanted her to understand why their laws existed. They had wanted her to learn the importance of non-interference through suffering. Instead, she had learned something else entirely. Some laws deserved to be broken. That night, Anna began writing. She found sheets of pressed bark and ink made from crushed berries, and she started recording everything she knew. The history of Earth, the rise and fall of civilizations, the mistakes humanity had made, and the lessons they had learned that if she was going to change this world, she would give them every tool she could, including the wisdom to avoid repeating her own people's errors. She wrote until dawn, and she did not stop for many years after. 22 years after her exile, Anna Reyes sat in a wheelchair that the Rue had built specially for her. She was 65 years old. Her body had given up on walking 2 winters ago, but her mind was still sharp, and she was using it to teach history to a classroom of young Rue who would never see the star she came from. The humans of Earth built great cities, she told them, her voice weaker than it used to be, but still clear. But they also made terrible mistakes. They fought wars over resources they could have shared. They poisoned their own water and air. They let greed and fear guide their choices instead of wisdom and compassion. A young female in the front row raised her hand. First teacher, why did they do those things? Anna smiled. After 22 years, questions like this still made her happy. Because change is hard. Because it is easier to take than to share. Because fear makes people do foolish things. She paused. That is why I teach you these stories, so you can learn from their mistakes without making them yourselves. The lesson was interrupted by a sound Anna had not heard in over 2 decades, that a deep rumbling filled the air. The ground trembled slightly. The young Rue looked around in confusion, their large ears twitching. Through the window, Anna saw something that made her heart stop. A ship was descending through the clouds. Not a small transport like the one that had dropped her here. This was a Galactic Tribunal enforcement vessel. Massive, black, bristling with sensors. It blocked out the sun as it lowered toward the outskirts of Anishom. The city erupted into panic. 30,000 Rue had never seen anything like this. They screamed and ran, parents grabbing children, elders being helped into buildings. Get me outside, Anna told her students. Now, 2 of the older ones grabbed her chair and pushed her through the chaos. She directed them toward the landing site, where the massive ship was settling onto its landing struts. By the time they reached the clearing, a crowd had gathered at a safe distance. Brightwater was there, now an elder with white fur and weathered features. His great-grandson stood beside him, a young diplomat named Still River. Stay back, Anna told them. This is my burden. You cannot face them alone, Brightwater said. I have to. They came for me. She looked at the city she had helped build. Whatever happens, remember what I taught you. Fear makes people do foolish things. Do not let it make you foolish now. The ship's main hatch opened. A ramp extended to the ground. And then they emerged. The Villani were tall, nearly 3 meters, with gray skin and formal judicial robes. There were 6 of them, led by a female whose severe expression suggested she had never smiled in her entire life. They walked toward Anna's chair with the confidence of those who held absolute power. The leader stopped 5 paces away and stared. Her eyes moved from Anna to the city behind her, to the buildings, the roads, the crowds of Rue watching in terrified silence. "I am High Adjudicator Samra," the leader said at last. "We came to collect the remains of the exile, known as Ana Reyes. We expected to find bones. Sorry to disappoint you." Anna said. Samra's gaze swept across Anishom again. "What is this place? Our records show no settlements on this world. There were none when you left me here. I built this. You built a city. I helped build a city. The Rue did most of the work." Samra turned to look at the gathered crowd. The Rue watched her with large amber eyes, still frightened but holding their ground. Children peeked out from behind their parents. "You have been here 22 years, Samra said slowly. "In 22 years, you have taken a nomadic species and created this. I taught them what I knew. They did the rest. This is the most severe violation of the non-interference accord in recorded history." Anna looked up at the towering alien with tired eyes. "And what are you going to do about it? Exile me again?" Samra did not answer immediately. She was staring at something in the crowd, a young Rue child who had escaped her mother's grip and was walking toward the strangers with curiosity rather than fear. The child stopped in front of Samra and looked up. "Way up. Are you from the stars?" the child asked in the clicking Rue language. Samra did not understand the words, but she understood the tone, the wonder, the innocent hope. She looked at Anna. "You taught them your language?" "I taught them to read and write. I taught them medicine and agriculture and history. I taught them that the universe is bigger than their forest." The child was still staring up at Samra, waiting for an answer. Anna translated. "She wants to know if you came from the stars." Samra was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, she knelt down to bring herself closer to the child's eye level. "Yes," she said. "I came from the stars." The child's face lit up with joy. She turned and ran back to her mother, chattering about the tall gray person from the sky. Samra stood and looked at Anna with an expression that had changed entirely. "You will come with us to face the tribunal," she said. "But I do not think your punishment will be what you expect." Anna nodded and let them wheel her toward the ship. Behind her, 30,000 voices rose in a wordless cry, not of grief, but of gratitude. She had given them everything she could. Now it was time to see what the galaxy would make of it. The Galactic Tribunal chamber was exactly as Anna remembered it. The same flower smell, the same circle of white light, the same 12 judges looking down from their elevated seats. But this time, she was not standing. She sat in her wheelchair, too old and too tired to stand for hours. And this time, she was not alone. Still River stood beside her, Bright Water's great-grandson, representing the Rue people. He had traveled to this hearing despite the terror of leaving his world for the first time. Despite the overwhelming strangeness of the starship and the space station and the hundreds of alien species he had never imagined existed, he was here because his people had asked him to speak for them. High Magistrate Vorn looked older too. His silver skin seemed duller than before. His voice was slower. "Ana Reyes," he said, 22 years ago, you were exiled to designation 7 Kappa for violating the sacred non-interference accord. You were expected to die alone. Instead, you have committed the most extensive violation of our laws in 3,000 years of galactic history." Anna said nothing. There was nothing to say. Everything he said was true. You taught a pre-spaceflight species agriculture, medicine, architecture, writing, and history. You accelerated their development by an estimated 4,000 years. You created a civilization where none should exist. "I did," Anna said. "The standard punishment for such a violation is death." Still River tensed beside her. Anna reached out and touched his arm gently. However, Vorn continued, "The tribunal has received a request to hear testimony before sentencing. A representative of the Rue people has asked to speak." Vorn gestured towards Still River. "You may address the tribunal." Still River stepped forward. He was trembling slightly, but his voice was steady. He spoke in his own language, and a translation device rendered his words into the galactic common tongue. You exiled your own kind for showing us mercy, he said. She could have lived alone and died forgotten. Instead, she chose to give us everything she knew, not because she wanted power, not because she wanted worship, but because she believed we deserved the chance to become more than we were. He reached into a pouch at his side and pulled out a book. It was thick and worn, bound in leather from animals of his homeworld. Anna recognized it immediately. She had written it herself over many years. She gave us your mistakes so we would not repeat them, Still River said. She gave us your achievements so we could build on them. She told us about wars and plagues and famines. She told us about weapons that could destroy worlds and hatred that could destroy souls. He held up the book. Tell me, is that contamination or is that love? The tribunal chamber was silent. The 12 judges exchanged glances that Anna could not read. We understand your laws, Still River continued. We understand that you want to protect primitive species from outside influence. But the first teacher did not conquer us. She did not enslave us. She sat in the dirt with us and taught us how to plant seeds. She nursed our sick and buried our dead. She learned our language and treated us as equals. He turned to look directly at Vorn. If you execute her for that, then your laws protect nothing worth protecting. Vorn was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. The tribunal will deliberate. You will have our decision within 10 days. On the 9th day, the tribunal summoned them back. Vorn looked exhausted. Whatever debate had occurred over the past 9 days had clearly been difficult. Ana Reyes, he said, the tribunal has reached a decision. Your violations of the non-interference accord are undeniable. However, we find ourselves in an unprecedented situation. He paused. We cannot undo what you have done. The Rue civilization exists. Its people have knowledge that cannot be taken away. To execute you now would serve no purpose except vengeance, and vengeance is not justice. Anna felt her heart begin to beat faster. Your sentence is commuted to permanent residency on designation 7 Kappa. Additionally, the Rue people are hereby granted provisional recognition as an emerging spaceflight-capable civilization, with all the rights and protections that status provides. Still River made a sound, half sob, half laugh. You are free to return home, Ana Reyes, Vorn said. The tribunal will be watching what your civilization becomes. Anna died 3 years later, surrounded by Rue who loved her, in the city that carried her name. She was 68 years old, and on the night she passed, 30,000 voices rose in song. It was a human lullaby she had taught them decades ago, transformed into something uniquely theirs. And in the centuries that followed, when Rue ships finally left their world and joined the galactic community, they carried with them a simple philosophy that Anna had written in her book. Knowledge is meant to be shared. Tomorrow can always be better than today. And sometimes, the greatest civilizations are built not by conquerors, but by teachers who refuse to let others suffer alone. The galaxy had many words for Ana Reyes after that. Criminal, revolutionary, heretic. The Rue had only one mother.